Hi, I'm Bryce Crittenden, and welcome to a special bonus episode of EPL's Overdue Finds. Unfortunately, Caroline couldn't make it with us today, so I'm steering the ship today, but that's okay, because I've got a couple of friends joining me today. As you may have seen from today's episode description, we are actually chatting with a couple of members of Friends of EPL. So if you're not familiar with Friends of EPL, it's a nonprofit society that helps bring awareness to the Edmonton Public Library, and a couple of members of Friends of EPL joining me today. So it's not just me by myself. So I want to welcome to the show Leslie Cleary and Donna Fong. How are you both doing today?
Great. Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah.
Great. Glad to be here and share about Friends of EPL.
So it's actually kind of cool today because normally we record, when Caroline and I record the podcast, really since the beginning of like the pandemic a few years ago now, we've just been recording online from like our homes or here at the library, just basically online. So today's actually like the first time in probably 3 years where I think I've recorded in person with another person kind of in the room with me. So three of us today here in the sound studios in the maker space at the Stanley E. Milner Library. So thank you both for coming in today. This is going to be fun. This is
very special to be here because I've never been in this recording studio other than during tours and peeking in and promoting it to friends who are musicians.
Nice. So let's get chatting a little bit about Friends of EPL. So I guess for our listeners who maybe aren't aware of Friends of EPL, can you share some of the history with it and I guess what the organization does?
Of course. So the Friends of the Edmonton Public Library, so our official name is the Society of the Friends of the Edmonton Public Library. It was established in 1991, and it's a volunteer nonprofit society registered under the Alberta Societies Act, but also a registered charity. And our mission is to promote public interest in the Edmonton Public Library through social, cultural, and fundraising activities, and act as an advocate for community interests in libraries. And so for decades, volunteers were involved in the popular EPL book sale, and it's more than just books. Volunteers sorted and sold things like LPs, audio cassettes, video discs, video cassettes, DVDs, CDs. But since the library's centennial in 2013, the Friends of EPL has evolved into much more than volunteering at book sales. So I know that for 2 years, from 2016 to 2018, there was an initiative of Friends of EPL called Anthology, and it was a culturally curious club and with membership, and they hosted events and they were involved in fundraising activities. But it wound down in the fall of 2018, and the library and the Friends of EPL, they were looking at our next chapter. And so like many nonprofit organizations, the Friends is eligible for casino license, for fundraising, and we wanted to consider opportunities for community engagement and fundraising.
That's cool. So you guys also do the casino nights as well then?
Absolutely. We have great support. It's always tough to find volunteers for those night shifts, but the supporters are very passionate about supporting the cause of Edmonton Public Library.
Yeah, I've seen here at the Stanley Milner Library, obviously a lot of times the book sales downstairs, and we'll have them, and it's incredible to see people will line up early. And before I started the library, like I'd heard about the book sales, but then like once I started working here and I would come in like early in the morning for work, and it would just be like people lined up, and I've seen also too volunteers sorting books down there, and
there was this cave on the lower level. It was very dusty. I'm amazed that the volunteers could survive hours of sorting, and there were treasures. That's why people came to book sales and now the Books to Buy, which is a different group of volunteers than the Friends.
I bet, yeah. So with all these initiatives that Friends of EPL have done over the years, do you know roughly how much Friends has helped raise?
1.54 million.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. So that's everything.
Scads of money.
Yeah. So that's everything from obviously helping do the casinos and
Yep,
other events.
And our own special events through the Friends.
Wow. I guess, Leslie, I guess I'll ask you this one. How did you personally become involved in Friends of EPL?
I personally became involved in the library as a library lover and, of course, an avid reader. But I was first invited to attend an info session back in 2019 by an EPL staffer. And I was then nominated to the board and have loved raising friends and funds ever since.
Nice. So you're avid readers. Are certain types of books that you really enjoy reading?
Yes, I'm the gal that loves nonfiction. Occasionally I'll indulge in a fiction book, but nonfiction all the way for me.
I'm a big nonfiction guy too, so I totally get it. Donna, how about you though? Like, how did you become involved with Friends of EPL? I've seen you at so many different events and everything over the years. I know you're a huge library supporter, but how did you really become involved?
All right. Well, listeners might know that I was a part-time staff member of Edmonton Public Library for 32 and a half years.
Wow.
I retired in 2017 and also from a second career. So by late December 2018, I was in Mexico when I got an email from EPL to invite me and library lovers to a meeting in 2019 for the next chapter of Friends. And we would be helping to guide what the Friends can do to support EPL. And so it's great to be able to do this now as a community member instead of being a staff, encouraging customers to donate to a great cause. And so earlier this year, in January of 2023, I was honored to be elected as president of the Friends of Edmonton Public Library, and I will serve until January or February of 2025.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's awesome to partner with the amazing leadership and staff of EPL.
I know that obviously a big library supporter, and you've worked here part-time, but I guess I'll ask both of you this, but what are some of your favorite memories of using the library when you were growing up?
On Monday evenings, they were library nights in the basement of our Legion Hall in rural Saskatchewan. And I would go early. I'd be there when the librarian opened the door. And I would browse through all of the sections. But this library was a place where I felt very safe and I've encouraged in my quest for knowledge. I loved the magazine section. And I was always looking for the Highlights magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And take out as many chapter books as they would allow. I also loved talking to the friendly librarians, and they were always so nice. And of course, they were very smart. So my fondest memory is just that, finding that place where I belonged, and that was a library.
That's cool. So every Monday night they'd set up downstairs. So would it just be once a week type thing then, or?
That's all I remember is that coveted Monday night.
It's like Monday night, the library, that is the place to be, rural Saskatchewan. Nice. Donna, how about you? Like, did you grow up here in Edmonton, and was there branches that you went to?
I'm a lifelong Edmontonian, and my favorite memory was going to the new Centennial Library. 1967, so I'm dating myself. And my dad said, let's go to this new library. And I got my very first library card with my sister. And then we became obsessed with coming every Saturday. We took 2 buses from my grandparents' home in Calder to downtown. And we loved borrowing lots of books, getting recommendations from staff. We were very shy, but we would borrow the maximum number of books. And we also joined the summer reading club. So I believe I still have a certificate, the Dr. Doolittle certificate on this blue stock paper from, I think, 1968.
Wow.
And there was a library policy in the late 1960s where you had to be at least 14 years old to go solo to the second floor of the Centennial Library. And that's where the adult fiction and records were located. So it was my coming of age, my aha moment when I turned 16 or 14, so I could wander near the, can you believe this, the cigarette smoking lounge area and borrow novels such as The Magic Garden of Stanley's Sweetheart by Robert Westbrook. I don't think the library carries it anymore. And it became the basis of a counterculture film starring Don Johnson. So there's trivia for you, Bryce.
Nice, I like that.
And of course, I have fond memories of working in both the children's library and main adult services with great staff and being part of the innovation at EPL.
So we should clarify too, when you mentioned the Centennial Library, that's like where essentially we are right now. Like that was like the original Stanley Milner Library, correct?
Yes, it was renamed in, I believe, 1996, because there was a trustee and avid supporter of the library, Stanley A. Milner.
That's crazy. The cigarette smoke part cracks me up. But I mean, that was just like the sign of the times back then. Like there would be ads saying like 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this cigarette. So I guess it wasn't that crazy to think like, yeah, there would be a smoking section in the library.
Well, because I skipped 2 grades in elementary school, I just felt, wow, now I'm old enough to go up to the second floor and borrow adult fiction.
I like it.
I have another bit of trivia. You reminded me, Donna. In my school, it was the high school in rural Saskatchewan. Our library was the epicenter of the school. It was also where students could smoke.
Oh, okay.
And now, some 40 years later, I'm wondering, why did they allow smoking and books? But that's the way it was. It was a great place to go. The lounging part, you were able to be in the library if you were reading. So that was never a problem for me. But I just have a vivid memory now of the ashtrays on the tables.
That's crazy. It's like, yeah, you can come smoke in here. Like, pick up a book, but feel free to smoke. So, so you mentioned earlier about. I just want to get back to some of the fundraising initiatives that Friends of EPL does, and you talked about the $1.5 million. What type of programs have Friends of EPL raised money for?
Great question. The Friends are very proud of the diverse programs and events that we have supported EPL. So top of mind would be the early learning initiative, Ready, Set, Read, exclamation mark.
That's right.
A book gifting program that puts books into the homes of young children from birth to age 5 in collaboration with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And so this program is devoted to inspiring a love of reading in Edmonton families and create a lasting relationship with EPL and a foundation for learning. So I wish this existed when I was a child, because I don't think I had a new book till I was about 8 or 9 years old, and didn't get my first library card till I was 11. So earlier this year, the Friends, we were an event sponsor for EPL's Forward Thinking Speaker Series event with singer-songwriter Jan Arden, and she was a great presenter talking about her life journey and promoting her first new novel, The Biddlemores, that can be placed on hold at EPL.
I love that plug.
And we have raised money for Capital City Art, mobile displayers, tools and small appliances for the kitchen, which is here at the Milner Library. I think everybody should have a peek at that library or take classes, and furniture and enhancements at selected branches. And we also sponsor online events during the pandemic, such as the Adult Summer Reading Program and Indigenous Programming. And we also had an online event with Eric Kleinenberg. His presentation was about the importance of social infrastructures, such as public libraries and parks as community hubs.
So that's really interesting to hear about the fit up that you did for the kitchen area. And I second what you said there too. Like, if you haven't had a chance to check out the kitchen here at the Stanley Milner Library, please, we invite you to come down and check it out, and especially take a class there. And also too, the Jan Arden event earlier this year. I work at pretty much almost all of the Forward Thinking Speaker Series events, and that might be like my favorite one that we've done over the last few years. It was incredible.
Yeah, she is so funny, and she talked about how she overcame challenges in her life and care for her mother, and of course getting us to sing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she did. That was the highlight for sure. And you mentioned too, I just want to get back to at the top of the show, you mentioned the casino night that you do. And some of the other initiatives, but how often does the casino night happen? Is that a once a year thing, or?
Well, every 2 years. So we did one in April of this year, but we were waiting for almost, I think, 2.5 years because the pandemic happened in March of 2020, and we had just finished an event, I believe, in February, and then it was a waiting period. But I'm glad that nonprofit societies are able to get back and doing fundraising, because I believe you can raise almost anywhere from $70,000 to $78,000 for our cause.
So do you have any upcoming initiatives or events any upcoming fundraising events that you're hosting?
Well, since 2021, the Friends have hosted the Salon Speaker Series, and it features an intimate dinner and conversation with a local expert on questions such as what's the right path for Alberta's energy future? How does public architecture shape our perception of Edmonton? So the Friends spread word of this fundraising event through our network. It's not widely advertised because we want to keep the events small. It may be in a private home or in a venue where we have about 20 to 30 people. So it's awesome because we have engaging conversations with the speaker, and we raise some money for the Friends.
Interesting. Yeah, that especially those topics that you mentioned, because obviously as a library, I think a lot of people just kind of assume like, oh, you're going to have maybe an author come in and talk about a book or something like that. And that stuff is fine. But I think it just kind of that for your topics that you mentioned, like architecture and the environment and a few other things, like it's more than just it kind of helps represent the ever evolving world that is the library.
Oh. Absolutely, because we're always open to ideas. The board welcomes ideas from members, the public, the people who attend the events. So in addition to the Salon Speaker Series, we hosted, and Leslie and I, we organized a film event on Sunday morning. I believe it was October 30th, 2022. And it was to raise awareness of Milner Library's facilities and services during non-opening hours. And what's amazing is the next month, the Friends sent a letter to city councilors to support EPL's budget requests. And we were super pleased to hear of council's approval of an increase to base level funding to increase access to library services through opening hours. So instead of 1 to 5 on Sundays, it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at all branches, so additional 3 hours. So besides fundraising, because we've been talking lots about fundraising, we also do advocacy, and we're out in the community to talk about our love of EPL.
That's great. Yeah, that advocacy is so, like you said, the fundraising part is important, but so in a lot of ways, the advocacy part is maybe even more important too. Just kind of help spread the word of EPL. So just curious, getting back to Friends of EPL, I guess how many people are in your organization, and can anyone join?
Well, it's hard to say. We currently have a board of 13 directors and over 50 to 60 supporters through our fundraising events, and everyone is welcome to join, and we're eager to grow our membership because during the pandemic we just had like Zoom events with our members, like a book club. So we have a new tagline for our friends: love your library, become a friend today. And memberships are available with a minimum of $25 per a donation per individual. So it's a good cause because we want to support safe, diverse, and inclusive places for the public.
I like it. How, if somebody's listening to this right now and they want to join, like how would they become a member?
So you can visit the website epl.ca/friends and click on Ways to Give. So by donating $25 or more through the Canada Helps portal, you become a member for 1 year and you'll receive a tax receipt immediately. And as I mentioned earlier, we're a registered charitable society. You can download a form at that library webpage at epl.ca/friends to become a member by mail. And there's many benefits of becoming a member, such as direct invitation to events like that salon speaker series I spoke about, other activities, providing input on Friends initiatives, book and movie recommendations, and we love to eat, participating in the AGM, becoming part of the board of directors, and serving our community at large by raising awareness of the public library and EPL's incredible services, programs, and events.
Love it. So before we wrap up today, normally on an episode of Overdue Finds, we have our Overdue Finds segment where everybody gives like a book recommendation. So I'm not going to let you both leave here today without some sort of, whether it's a book or a movie or something like that. Leslie, has there been something you've enjoyed recently that you can recommend for listeners?
Absolutely. So not only am I a book lover, but I am a movie lover. So I love watching movies. Recently, my husband had to buy me a DVD player so that I can get my movies from the library.
Love it.
And one of my most recent finds was the Good Karma Hospital series. There's 4 seasons, and it's about staff working in a rural hospital in South India. Check it out.
Check it out. Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that show. Is it? Is there any actors in it that people might recognize?
No.
That's okay. Yeah.
No,
Nice.
it's very well done. Of course, I was a bit upset that it wasn't carried for another 4 seasons, but it is very good.
Sometimes that's okay though. Like I've noticed that with a lot of like maybe BBC series where they only run for a few years, but all of those episodes are quality. And it's not like some shows we get here in North America where they run for say 10 seasons and after season 5 it's all downhill. So sometimes shorter the series the better. Donna, how about you? Do you have any recommendations?
EPL has presented amazing speakers at numerous events, so I would like to recommend a book that currently has over 160 holds at EPL. I've had the privilege of working and traveling in all 10 provinces and 3 territories. So I love reading about the people, places, and funny stories in Rick Mercer's second memoir, which is called The Road Years. It's the highlights of his 15 years of the Rick Mercer Report. And I have a little spoiler, the last line of the book. I may not know what it means to be a Canadian, but I do know I have never wanted to be anything else. So place your hold on the road years. And sadly, until I get eye surgery, I actually watch few movies unless it's on the big screen. And as the daughter of Chinese immigrants and someone who admires Asian actors, I will recommend the 2022 blockbuster film, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, that I will watch again and again. And I know that the library has many DVDs, and at the heart of the film is the message is that family matters, because it was very chaotic to watch, but I'll do it again when I get my eyes fixed. because the Friends of the Edmonton Public Library is a big supporter of Ready, Set, Read, I highly recommend a film that's available on Canopy streaming. It's called The Library That Dolly Built, celebrating the people who made Dolly's dream come true. So it's a documentary. We showed it at our AGM in January of this year. And it's a feature-length documentary focusing on the history and the impact of this Imagination Library. And of course, EPL is a partner of this wonderful book gifting program.
Yeah, we actually recently did an episode of the podcast on Dolly Parton, and the amount of the work that she's done to advocate for public libraries and get books in the hands of families and kids is quite incredible. So no, that's great recommendations. And I was going to say Everything Everywhere All at Once. I saw that movie in the theater when it first came out, and it's chaotic and
Absolutely.
it's mind-bending, and yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's a must-watch. So I want to thank you both, Leslie and Donna, for joining me today. This was so much fun. I love, like I said, as somebody who works at EPL, I know obviously of Friends of EPL and the great work that you do, but it was really interesting hearing more about kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff and how people can get involved. So somebody's listening to this and they want to join. Where can they go to get more details?
I mentioned the webpage epl.ca/friends, or you can email friends, that's the YEG library, @gmail.com, and a board member will follow up with you. So at that webpage, epl.ca/friends, or /friends, there's a button for ways to give, either online through Canada Helps, and you'll receive a tax receipt immediately, or you can download a form and mail in a check. And yes, we still accept checks, and we, the Friends of EPL, would love to meet you, because people are craving opportunities to talk about their love of libraries and imagine the possibilities for Edmonton Public Library. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Bryce.
Absolutely. And yeah, a lot of people who obviously listen to this are library supporters, obviously, and follow what's going on at EPL. So yeah, if you're looking to other ways to give and maybe be involved in a great cause, definitely check that out. So we hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't yet, we encourage you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And even more importantly, please tell a friend about the show. And we love to hear from our listeners. You can email us at podcast@epl.ca. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.